Fáilte chuig an céad taspáintas líne de rá ghearscanán de chuid féile eilíonn an bharna. Welcome to the first showing online of 2 short films by the Gap Arts Festival. Ceol na Ground, The Music of the Trees, and Life Under Lockdown. Tá Ceol na Ground bunathe an seanscéal tá chlús a capal le glóirí Lynchig, The King Has Horse's Ears. Life Under Lockdown was commissioned by the Gap Arts Festival early on in COVID time as a documentary on people's experiences in their own homes of lockdown. Tá an premier seo a haspáint líne tuisc gur tháinig neart báistíoring an lá bhí barta againn chun iad a haspáint an chéadúr mo faoin air. This premiere is happening online because the day that we had planned to premiere them outdoors, there was a power of rain. Bháling ar muchas a gháil le gach aine a thug tacaíocht doing agus a ghlach páirt. We'd like to thank everybody who supported us and who took part. Buin sultas. Enjoy. Ceannaun, nor a bhí an tú fásta rún ag déanamh do máiste. In the old days, when a terrible secret was doing damage, squealú leis na crín é. It was told to the trees. Písa ina dhéig, cearú aimid ón gcaoil chun gléasa Yeshu. Sometime afterwards, wood from the forest was cut to repair an instrument. Agus le cúbhrán san air, agus le bioga faoin talamh, and with perfumes in the air, and with pulses underground, as ag dríocht na chuile ag immert, the magic of the forest began. Agus nuair a shineú an gléas, the chan sé amach. When the instrument was played, it sang out. agus gan teanga, gan béal, gan beola, without tongue, without mouth, without lips. A lower the cream, the trees spoke, a hug she'd kite. They talked. Agus hálig fiawsar and scale, and things got better.
This is my workspace at home during the lockdown. I have to do my school work at home. I have never missed a day in primary school in my whole 8 years in Scully-Scon, Kilgraney National School. My 6th class teacher, Miss Kavanagh, emails each weekend. The emails have work for the week covering subjects like English, Maths, Irish, Science and work on my Kenya project. Miss Kavanagh gave me a booklet and video links of information on my transition from primary to secondary school. The main part of the family business is transport to schools among other occasions, as COVID-19 has put a halt on all the schools. The buses are parked up and 13 employees are staying put at their homes until schools reopen. As the park and activities like scouts and swimming are all closed for our safety, ways of entertaining within 5 kilometres have been walks in Ballythomas nature trails. There are a number of walks including fairy trails. Before the lockdown, my auntie Roisin had my baby cousin Shauna. I visited her in Wexford General Hospital the day she was born in March, 2 days after the hospital closed to visitors due to COVID-19. Also, my mum Aisling had my baby brother Kyle in the National Maternity Hospital Dublin in April during the lockdown. I got to see Kyle the day after he was born safe at home.
closed 8 p.m. March the 15th. We hope to open on Monday the 29th of June. But in the meantime, we open a little off license and a pizza delivery. So, Monday the 29th, we've changed from being an off license, we're now a restaurant. We have to keep sanitising our hands the whole way through. If you want to come in now, you have to buy a meal worth over a tenner. Lucky we do our pizzas. Hopefully in 3 weeks' time, we'll open up as a pub. See you the next chapter.
The Ceardlannana graveyard has been and continues to stand there for over 200 years. There are 351 graves holding loved ones. However, due to current events, it has been proving difficult to hold funerals and to find comfort during these times. The graveyard was actually built on the ruins of where the old church of Ceardlannana used to stand. It was burnt down, unfortunately, but rebuilt on the 29th of June 1798 on the same grounds that our current church is standing. That second church was also burnt down and rebuilt a year later on June 29th, 1799. June 29th is the feast of St. Peter and Paul, which is why it was such an important date to the church. The land that the church is built on was given by the Esmonds. Lady Esmond is now buried in front of the church alongside other priests that preached in the church. There is also priests buried in the church beneath the floor from the times when people were buried inside the churches. Unfortunately, coronavirus has stopped people from attending funerals and finding comfort from lost loved ones. For a long time, only a very small amount of less than 10 people could attend funerals or visit the graveyard. Social distancing was also put in place so you couldn't comfort each other. However, since June 8th, phase 2 of lockdown, the number has increased slightly and will continue to increase with each phase of lockdown. If we are very lucky, the country will be back to normal by Christmas of 2020.
Over lockdown, I haven't really been doing too much at all. I've been doing a lot of gardening, mowing the lawn and streaming, cutting down trees. A lot of stuff that I was never able to do when I was in school because I just didn't have the time. And I was just studying for the Leaving Cert too, and that took up a lot of time. It's just I have a lot of free time now and not much to do, so I'm kind of spacing out what I do between a few days at a time. I've been doing a lot of painting, putting up fence posts. I walked up Crogan a couple of times, and I've been doing quite a bit of fishing as well actually, and you kind of get sick of fishing after a while though, fishing down Hollyford. The Leaving Cert I was quite happy about now being cancelled, but I don't know, I'm just going to have to wait and see by the time August rolls around, the results come in, how I feel about it. But yeah, it's grand, not having to study. It's kind of a weight off my shoulders, I like it now.
Schools closed on the 12th of March and were supposed to open in 2 weeks. But as COVID-19 got worse, it ended the school year 3 months early. Because we weren't in school anymore, the teachers emailed us work to do, and it took about 1.5 hours a day. And I personally like to get it done early in the morning. Because there isn't that much to do during quarantine, I learned some new skills, such as solving a Rubik's Cube, flipping a butterfly knife, practicing soccer, and you can sleep in for as long as you want.
Our dogs played a big part in lockdown for us. They did homework, they studied with us. They went on conference calls, they played board games. They did gymnastics, they did gardening. They played on the trampoline, they performed on TikTok videos. They did darkness into light with us. They treated every walk like their first and every walk like their last. A lesson we should all bring to our everyday lives.
Hi there, my name is Mary Fleming and my experience of lockdown has been kind of mixed. On one hand, as someone who is usually driving and rushing around a lot, I've really enjoyed not having to do that. Instead, I've been out and about walking the 2 kilometres in all directions from our house. And what I really find I'm interested in is the abundance of life that is in the ditches around us. And my film clips are about that really, the simple pleasures. Another interest of mine is Ballythomas Field, and that's become an essential community resource. So we've been trying to fundraise for that to keep the field viable in terms of paying for the insurance and the maintenance costs. On a more personal note, I've had breast cancer during this lockdown, which has been quite scary for me and also for my family. On the plus side of that though, the lockdown has given me time and space to process that and to appreciate all the great things that I have actually in my life. And people have been so kind to me and I am extremely grateful to them for that. Thank you.
For me, the story of the lockdown will be, to a great extent, a tale of two breads. Bread. On the day before the lockdown began, I was in a supermarket where there were lots of empty shelves, and the empty shelves that struck me the most were the empty bread shelves, the empty bakery shelves. And a woman was telling me that she had seen a man a little while earlier walking along the bread shelves with his arm extended, sweeping all loaves before him like some kind of a snowplow, all into his trolley. Bread is about security and self-sufficiency. It's also about connectedness, about being in touch with some deeper stuff. And I think that's why many people, myself included, took to baking during the lockdown. Some of us had a little bit more time on our hands. And while we're at it, we might as well experiment with some different ingredients. And that's so delightfully human. Even the bare necessities begin after a while to get turned into art. A pinch of this, a cupful of that, a spoon of that, a suggestion of whatever. Bread, give us this day our daily. It wasn't just shelves in supermarkets that were empty during the lockdown. Pews in churches were empty and silent. The sign I put up outside as the lockdown began, "Church is open, come in and pray." It started to look a bit forlorn after a while, especially as the words "come in and pray" began to get washed off and fade. And yet, people came in. They lit candles, they sat there in the great silence, and they joined in on Facebook for the Saturday evening live stream as the front room in the presbytery was reborn into a second career as a studio. And that rebirth was also a kind of experimenting with ingredients, stuff we already had but weren't using. It was good and helpful insofar as it went. But the missing ingredient was always going to be people. Between the empty shelves and the empty pews, the making of bread and the not praying together for our daily bread, an odd phrase kept coming to me: add one congregation and stir. I've been looking forward to doing that.
During the lockdown, I had a chance to explore our area and came across a lot of wildlife. I caught some tiny fish and caught a loach which looks like a small catfish. I even caught a baby eel. These come all the way across the Atlantic from the Sargasso Sea in a journey that takes 3 years. Unfortunately, this sparrowhawk died soon after I found it, and I also came across this deer at the side of the road. I also saw bats, a grasshopper, a bug that rolls into a ball, and a frog. One of my favourite finds was a hedgehog who lives in our garden.